back to Conversations with Mrs. R. Now, we started a series and it was been about how do you know she's the one? And we've had different people talk, from the older gentlemen. And then recently, we had a young, really intelligent and interesting young man, Timi, who, by the way, is actively searching, telling us what he considers as the points on knowing she's the one. So we're going to continue this conversation with Timi, and trust me, he's got a lot to say. Ladies, listen, oh. By the way, Timi, cooking, is it on your list?
No, it's not, because I cook myself.
Oh, wow. How is Timi single?
No, Timi is actually ready. He doesn't know that he is.
Your material is already
He's already ready, but he doesn't know.
You know what they say, babe? They say, babe. But he's just said that now, that the cooking and all that. But those are the kind of things that growing up, parents
from the cradle.
From the cradle. If you can't cook, you won't get help. Mrs. R, even because this marriage series is for everyone, from the young man, the young lady, the married couple, the mother who is grooming her children for marriage. What should we be now talking to, even from the young ladies and the young men from this height? Like, what are we pushing into our children?
Well, when I hear the young men and women speak of marriage and what they're looking to see before they take a decision, I'd like to say that it seems to me, in observing, that they're looking for a ready-made life. And the concern about looking for a ready-made person and a ready-made life, going through the process of the two become one, is also what cements the relationship.
And your story. Your
And
unique story. Your unique story.
Your unique journey, your unique story. I wouldn't go for the finished product. I would advise them to go for the potential in that person. So I think sometime during the series, we've spoken about the king in David. Abigail saw the king in David, not the fugitive. I think in today's world, both young men and women are looking for a quick fix. If you look at nature, everything about nature speaks of waiting. You put a seed in the ground, you've got to wait a period of time. The seed doesn't just germinate overnight. A baby is in the womb, there's a gestation period. So, but we humans are uncomfortable with waiting. But waiting is the way God allows us to develop character and grow. So that process is organic. But when you want a ready-made man or a ready-made woman, then it's a bit questionable for me. And then it's very transactional. And I'm sure if we look at the statistics, those marriages don't go far. Last. They don't, because there's been no journey, there's been no process. And this journey and process is what nurtures the relationship and really makes the two become one. They may not like to hear this, but going through the crucible of fire together. And it's difficult to break that relationship.
Because yes, there's something, it's been built on something. There's a foundation and you've come together. And I
nobody wants to go through pain. But the pain of birth pangs.
But if you don't do it, the baby doesn't come out.
That's part of the problem today, trying to jettison pain and process. You can't. That's life.
Yes.
That's just life. It can't happen at the click of a button.
No.
You know? Yes.
And they apply
right here and now.
Even though they want us to believe that.
And we apply the same principle or the same attitude and approach to even your work and your business.
Everything.
Everybody wants the business has to generate.
Click the button and it appears.
Yeah, but an oak tree takes time to grow.
And something I always said to them, those of us who are Christians, and the child Jesus grew.
Yes.
And the child
in
Jesus
wisdom and stature.
Passing through before he arrived at the manifestation of his public ministry. If God wanted him to, he would have dropped him, a complete man.
Absolutely.
So where are we getting this whole thing of here and now.
Auntie Tochi, I don't know how to say it to you, but growth is not a word that this generation likes.
It is the click button mindset.
The instant, yes.
The click button mindset.
When you say let's grow together, if that is your pitch and you're asking out in the relationship,
you lost already. You lost.
But you see what is happening. Click the button.
After the
You say you block you on social media.
Exercise, not serious.
You are rubbing her shine, right?
Block you straight.
When it comes to suffer.
Click the button into marriage. Click it out of marriage. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Click in and click out.
Fast food mentality. Everything has to be immediate.
Right now.
I mean, the baby doesn't pop out of the womb, and the next thing
run.
is a teen.
You run from the you run. But it's quite interesting because getting your perspective has opened the door to this conversation and the reality on ground. And I think both sides should be looking for is not just what you bring to the table, my 50, your 50, what we both are together. Because I think that's what you're looking for. It's beyond how you look. It's good to look good. Who wants to marry someone that's not looking good? But like you said, pop out a few babies, change. The men lose their hair. You married a man, he was an afro. 10 years later, there's a little lake. You did not see the beginning. A little pot belly cute comes out from the 6-pack to the 1-pack. So what happens? Do you leave?
Yes.
Do you leave? No. Do you understand? So it's and then I like what you said. When you have that value inside, which is really true, do you know you begin to see, you don't really see when you've been married for long enough, and I hope people remember this, when you've been married for long enough, even when people see you as older, like somebody says Auntie Tochi or Mrs. R, you are still who you were at 21.
Yes.
And you know, you see each other as who you were. Even though everybody's seeing you as this old married couple, you can't see that. That's the truth. You can't see that. But you still see yourself. That's where you picked value. That's where you picked character. You're still seeing that happy-go-lucky person because you hear things, my wife is so optimistic no matter what. That optimism doesn't change 30 years later. So that's who you're still in love with. So it's the right track. And I think for the ladies, maybe that's what we should also be demanding and asking for, instead of just trying to fit a mold. Start looking for that man who will ask you and you're looking at...
Tall, dark, handsome.
Yeah, tall, dark, handsome. We like the tall...
6-pack.
6-pack.
But he even fits that.
Yeah,
he fits that.
He fits 6-pack with deep pockets.
With deep
That's the deal clincher.
No, listen to that.
Yes,
6-pack and 6 figures.
6 figures.
That is so amazing.
Wow.
Where I'm concerned about the level of materialism.
But then again, that's the role of social media.
Yes.
Sometimes we're living our lives through pictures that are not real.
Yes.
That's why you have to look for someone that doesn't seek validation. Because social media has the pressure to fit in
into that mold, glossy image.
Glossy
image.
You said something about young girls comparing the young men to their fathers.
Yes.
So I think that it's unfair competition because a father at 30, when he was starting off life, is not the father at 60 when he's come through his various seasons, which the children have not seen.
Yes.
So comparing a young man you're about to get or who's courting you to your father is a bit misplaced and unfair.
And I think Mrs. R,
they should ask the mother about the journey.
I think Mrs. R, parents have a role in this sometimes. Some parents make their children expect a lot. So maybe I'm a daughter, my parents are comfortable, and you make her feel like any man coming should be able to, they tell you, to maintain this lifestyle.
Do they really do that?
Oh,
yes.
Some do.
Yes.
Some do.
So that puts pressure on the man to maintain that level. Or don't worry, my dad will pay for the wedding, my dad will pay for this, my dad will pay for that. Sometimes even for the man it's off-putting, like, okay.
Yes.
Or some will say, who could pay for everything?
Or emasculating. But some of them still have a bit of guts. It's emasculating. From get-go, you already know that your ability to
Your voice.
With the voice, you're losing it. You
So
have to
Mrs. R,
pander. You have to pander a whole
Parents
lot
do that too.
to what the parents
I will
want.
do that. Or you hear, I knew one that said, okay, I know okay, I don't want you to be there. Okay, I'll get you guys a house here. I'll put the kids in this kind of school. And it became an issue between her and her husband because the husband said, look, you knew where I was.
Yes.
You met me here.
Yes.
This was what I was doing. We can't. And then it was like, well, my dad can pay all this. Why doesn't it just help us? And the parents were like, well, we can help you. But the man insisted. And it became a big issue. So sometimes even parents.
We were there at one point in my life with my wife. We went through a season where things were tough. She mentioned and she said, oh, let's go to my sister and
get help.
She can sort us out. And I said, I know she can, but this is a season. It's not always going to be like this. If we run for help every time that we need it, what will happen when it's not there? So we stayed together. Now, I brought that in because in your case, it caused a problem. But in our case, it was a problem, but it was something that we had to agree and talk through. There needs to be that point where couples understand that a problem is not a reason for dissociation. It's rather a reason for
grow muscles together.
For fellowship, for koinonia, to grow together, to go through the season together. It's a bit like David's lion and bear in the wilderness before he got to Goliath. So those are the seasons that couples need to understand, hey, we can walk through it. So there may not be anything wrong in getting help from his dad, but it was a season that we needed to walk through. And like you said, when you walk through those seasons, as much as people don't like to hear it, but that's what keeps you together. That's your journey. Those are the stories that you will tell your children in order to frame their own walk.
I can perhaps speak to how parents should handle and how the couple. So thank you for that. It's a bit of a delicate one, but I would like to say to parents, allow the couple to grow. Allow them to cut their teeth. If there is a desperate situation, maybe somebody is unwell and requires help. So it's a life and death situation. Then I would view it in a Christian way, in a charitable way. What are you expected? What should your Christian response be? Help, because it's crucial. And you can't sit down and watch whether it's the husband or the wife
side that's bringing the help.
So that's crucial. So you can help. But the regular everyday occurrences, they should be left to run their affairs. And you cover them with the blanket of prayer. And you watch. A preacher once said something. He said, Abraham had a lot of means. By today's standard, a billionaire or trillionaire. But when Ishmael was going off, there was a limit to what Abraham could have sent Ishmael and the mother off with. They were going on a desert trek. They were going to nowhere. But he gave him water and he gave him bread. But that he must have spoken to Ishmael on the covenant, which applied to Isaac predominantly, but also mercifully to Ishmael. And he would have said to the young man, when this runs out, you belong to a covenant. Call on God and he will sort you out. So the mother must have cried out, as the Bible says, but God heard the voice of the covenant. So we should, it could be painful sometimes. It may even come across as callous. But we should be able to trust when it's not an issue of life and death, that God will sustain them. The tendency is that when you've been through a hard time like Abraham and Isaac comes along,
you just want to help.
You want to help Isaac. But you can see the difference between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. And then to the young couples growing in marriage, they should do their best to refrain from asking for help. Because as he said, in that place, calling out to God, you will develop your faith muscles. You will develop your relationship. And I would even say to them, rather than go to the parents, go to a friend or, your colleagues and ask for help. But if you get to a situation where you're stranded. And you are in debt, and the creditors are coming, then you cry out for help. And the Christian thing to do would be to reach out. In which case, the parents should call the couple together and carry them along. If it's a wife's parents, have a conference.
Along. Don't just put it in the wife's account.
Yes, and don't impose. Rather, you're both my children. We can see you at a critical place. How can we help? So that it cements their relationship, and they know that you're not trying to emasculate the man. You are obtaining his consent to step into that situation.
Wow.
That's so balanced.
Thank you. That is just the best way to tie this up. Thank you, Mrs. R. Timi, thank you. Thank you, because you started this conversation.
I'm sorry, because it's conversations.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask him, when he says a confident lady, because sometimes what you admire outside, Auntie Tochi, can now become a threat.
Inside.
So he likes that confident lady. She's high-spirited and she goes for it.
She's a go-getter.
So how do we manage that positive in that confident young lady such that it doesn't become a threat to you at home? Is something that I'm concerned about.
That's a good one.
I'm talking about someone that knows who she is, what she's capable of, what she can do, and what her limits are. I'm also talking about someone that has the fear of God. You understand? Someone that has respect for her parents. Someone that has respect for the common man. Because how you treat the common man goes a long way to show how you will treat me if I either fall off or get to the top. You understand? So when I say confidence, those are all the things. It's not pride.
It's not arrogance.
Yes, it's not arrogance. You understand? Those things are the things that form what I define as confidence. You understand? So there won't be issue of, okay, probably at some point in the marriage, you're earning more than I am, and it's fine.
You will not sit on my head.
You understand that kind of thing. So, and understanding her limits is very key.
Yes.
A woman that doesn't know, everyone has limits. A woman that feels she doesn't have limits is probably a very big red flag. Yes, it's probably a very big red flag, because the way God has created us, He has given each and every one of us responsibilities. You understand? So you need to understand how to operate within your limits so that I too can operate within my limits. And everything can be balanced out.
I like Timi. I like Timi.
Off camera.
We have private conversations with Timi.
Timi is like, I like the way he
very measured.
And he said it nicely.
And his mind, he's not missing what he wants to say.
Very nice, very respectful, but he will say it. Thank you, Timi. Your conversation has just brought another dimension to this. So it was a pleasure, honestly, having you here with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
And of course, returning and Tochi, thank you so much. And Tochi's experience, honestly, something else. In fact, now, your assistants. O wise one assisted by D wise one. Thank you, Kingsley. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And of course, Mrs. R, how you bring them together. I can only sit down here in awe and just be listening. Thank you, Mrs. R.
I don't think we give them a chance. I will say no.
Thank you so much, Mrs. R. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. And of course, for anyone who's listen, I do hope that you got one thing from all of this. It changed your perspective and helps you make an informed decision going further in life. And of course, if you have any questions, please put in our comments. We'll try as much as possible to reach out to you. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. My name is Marian. It's been a pleasure and a total privilege. Thank you for watching.